One online. We're all here in the same room together.
Don't see Sonia
And
and no Jen.
no Jenny. So we have a quorum regardless. Good to see everybody
Good to see you.
in better weather.
Mm.
I think this is my first meeting talking with my braces. Yeah,
Well,
getting used to that.
Invisalign?
yeah.
You hadn't told me, I would have done. Yeah.
I would
That's,
buy
that's
that.
good. I'm
Yeah.
trying hard to enunciate.
Well, it looks like it might have Botoxed your lips.
Is that what it looks like?
I'm kidding.
Bonus.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kidding. Bonus.
That's really what I'm
That's big money.
for. Well, we have a few things to go over. We have minutes from last month. I briefly looked at these. It looks good. Thank you, Rebecca. Anybody else have thoughts about the minutes or?
They look good to me.
And by the way,
Yep.
Jen's just joined in on Zoom.
Okay. Hello, Jen. And the adjustment to the agenda before we vote on the minutes, Ruben wanted to add an item about communication about residential broadband, so we can talk about that. No citizens, so I make a motion to approve these minutes.
Second.
All four. Great. Next. I just want to say this is my chair report. I have one item, essentially. There is a new community organization in town called the Open House of History, which has been founded by my partner, Michael Amico. And it's in residence at the Custom House. And the purpose of this is really to bring together a lot of elements of town history and the emotions of the town through performance, through events. There is an exhibit up that's going now until June 11th. It's open 10 to 6 every day. So feel free to stop by. I'm just going to read basically what Michael said here. Explore a unique display of historical Waldoboro objects presented in a new light. Respond to big questions posted around the space. What could happen in the space? Forums, music, storytelling events, poetry, debates, even civic conversations. Kind of an annex to what's happening here at the town office could happen in the Custom House. You can share your thoughts with these post-its that are posted around the building. There are stations where you can easily just write something on the wall, place them on the wall, record your voice. There are audio recorders if you have thoughts that you want to add. So come for 10 minutes, come for hours. It's up to you. It's open 10 to 6 from now until June 11th.
And it is where?
The Custom House, right next to the Waldo Theater.
Oh, right, yeah. I was looking at buying them.
Yeah, well, so stop in
From
and see the space.
Yeah.
The point is that it could be host to a lot of things and could serve to really bring together a lot of elements that we talk about in this room as well. So check it out.
Yeah, it's a really neat space.
Yeah.
It is a neat thing. We were at the meeting, was it Friday or Saturday, I think. And one of the things Michael mentioned that really caught my attention was that it would be a great place to discuss waste management.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
You know, I'm on board.
Great. So that's it for my chair report. Actually, the other thing I would add to that is I just want to repeat for the record and for anybody who's watching on YouTube, what Rebecca sent to us in an email. There is a lot of change on Route 1, and so that you hear it in one place. The Lighthouse Laundry across from the town office is open. They offer wash and fold service, as well as the machines in the building. The other retail space that's in the same building is rumored to be rented. We're not sure yet, but it should be.
Yeah, that should be coming up soon, and that's that's
Mainly poultry. Is that right, or has that
So.
not been announced yet?
we've had talks with someone. It's sort of a farm retail store.
Okay. So there's another space in that same building. Zach's Place is a restaurant that just opened up in the former, was it called the deli?
Roadside diner.
Roadside Diner. So there's a restaurant that's opened up on the same corner. Delano's is expanding their seafood shack. North Country Wind Bells is hoping to open their showroom sometime this month. That's at the top of the hill,
Yep.
just on the south side of town.
Yep.
So there are things happening on Route 1, which is really heartening to see.
I have a question, which is, would we want to, and I realize this would cost us some amount of money, because I don't think we have a budget, welcome new businesses with the smallest plant arrangement from Shelley's or something like that, that says, you know, welcome to the town,
Waldeboro.
and signs, sign the Economic Development Committee. I would be willing to, participate in that.
That is something the Business Association has traditionally done, and I don't know whether they're doing it or not. Generally.
I think they
Jen would
are,
know.
because we talked.
Hey, Jed.
Hi, guys. No, we haven't done that because there's that, so we don't have an official, we have a committee who's supposed to be looking at membership, but unfortunately they've not been very active. And I do know that Jessica Fooley's as a business is often taking things around to new people. So that's the way it is right now.
I think it's a charming idea.
Okay,
I'd certainly be willing to undersign it, but as you pointed out, we don't have an official budget for that.
okay.
Plus
Yeah.
right now,
I
actually,
looked at- I think it's the food pantry, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
gonna say right now, Moose Crossing's open, and has live plants and so forth. Maybe we could figure something out, actually, because that's a nice idea.
Alec, what were you saying?
Never mind, a second. Thanks.
Okay, so that's stuff that's happening on Route 1, which is really nice to see. Max.
We haven't concluded the thought.
Right, because I don't want to, double gift these folks, well, I'm sure they'd be happy. But, so Jen, if you think the Waldeboro Business Association is going to do it, just let me know in a day or two. And otherwise I'll make it happen by this weekend at the latest.
I can't tell you for sure. I can text a couple of people and see what's going on with people. We, it's the busy season and everybody's a volunteer, so generally people's activity in terms of
Understood.
the.
So why don't I
WB.
just do it? So, and.
All right,
Like,
that's fine. Yep.
And then do you want us to sign a card? We could all
I
add our
think-
names to it or
My
something.
thought was I will just sign a card, from the Economic Development Committee.
I think that's very nice.
That's very nice.
Let us know if you need anything.
Okay,
Well,
Thanks.
money.
I'll let you know what
Well, if you need anything.
what the price is. Yeah.
And is this something that's happening for just the new businesses, or is this something you want to try and do for all new businesses?
Well, I would think of it for all the new businesses. So for instance, the one Lighthouse Laundry has opened,
Mhm.
so I'd bring them something. I don't know about the wind chimes. They're not open
They're not there just yet.
yet. The place, the Zeke's is open.
Zach's.
So Zach's, I give those two gifts and the other two when they
When they do open.
officially
Okay,
opened,
Yeah.
so. And it would just be signed from the Economic Development Committee.
okay.
And a reminder of our meeting time. Or
Sure.
invitation to
Yeah,
tune in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What happened to CDK?
he moved.
She sold the building, the woman who owned it, right upstairs, so he had to move.
So they're a new.
Well,
So who's
he-
there now?
He expressed interest. I've talked to the owners. They're going to do, I believe it was a cafe is aligned what they were talking about.
oh, what fun.
But they are seeking a tenant to do the business. In other words, the owners of the building are not gonna operate the business, but
They're gonna at
trying
least
to-
have to, just like before.
they're trying to get somebody in there to do something that would be.
Yeah, but that's what they're hoping they'll start in the fall.
Thanks.
Right. So that could be a good move.
But yeah, CDK, I believe, found a bigger space that he was able to move to, I think, outside of Walsall.
He said he's booked on inventory for 2 years.
Isn't that great?
Wow, that's
Amazing.
good for him.
That's what he told me too.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, he was expressing interest to find a
Busy.
bigger space for quite some time, so, hey, he grew.
or owner.
All right, so other town updates, Max.
Planning board had a subdivision discussion a few weeks ago. I wasn't there. But from what I hear, the person who wants to do that subdivision is gonna come back. Um. Asking for waivers that, from what I heard, was rather controversial with the Warren side. So it'll be interesting to see how that meeting goes at the end of the month. But next week, the planning board should still have a housekeeping meeting just to try and talk about goals for next year, and might be a quick meeting, might be a long meeting, who knows? I don't know. Ruben's one of the planning board members.
Yeah, I was at that meeting, and there were a lot of things they wanted to waive. Warren's got a lot of very interesting, well thought out rules. The piece that might not have gotten back to you is they figured out if they axe some of their plan, they don't need to ask for most of those waivers. They talked about changing their scale.
Yeah,
So, and there were 100 ideas in there. That was a long but good conversation that ended with us all going, I guess we didn't need to be here. Although that Warren Planning Board in that space was wonderful to deal with.
Hmm.
So I hope we find another excuse to have that kind of meeting.
well, apparently we'll have at the Warren.
Or with
office?
Warren. They were good folks.
Oh, we'll have one more meeting with them at
We're
least.
good. I want to steal a bunch of their ideas.
Good.
Great.
We'll keep that in mind for the planning board meeting next week as
Oh,
well, if,
Absolutely.
for goals for next year. Community park update, we didn't meet yesterday just because there weren't too many updates from the town side of things, but I will be applying for the land water conservation grant at the end of the month. If successful, that will get a good chunk of the projects that will be on the concrete pad. That will focus on the tennis and pickleball courts, the parking, the open space gazebo area in the back. The only thing it wouldn't fund would be the potential basketball court that would be close by and some of the parking spaces that's right next to the road, because that has to be funded by only the town to address the violation we've had with the land water conservation fund. But that would be, now knock on wood, maybe $200,000 cost to the town that doesn't have to be addressed now, it can be addressed later. 200,000 for the town to get $500,000 and more in grant funding.
Mhm.
I like that trade-off.
Mm.
So that's the big focus for the rest of this month.
Bob had a comment about,
Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
question. Could TIF monies be used for that basketball?
yes,
Good idea. Money's not usually that inexpensive. That's a good deal.
it's why I put it back into the district.
Yeah, good move.
Speaking of TIF, I had my workshop at 5 o'clock. No one was here. I'm not heartbroken by that. But we will have the election, town election is next week. Vote if you haven't. And, that will have the planning board's Article 6 amendments, the TIF update for a credit enhancement for the affordable housing project, and the downtown master plan, including its updates. So hoping that'll be a nice sweep there. The Madomic River capacity study that we have with FB Environmental should be done by the end of the month. That's going to be seeing,
Down for capacity study.
so when there was the whole sweep on agriculture moratoriums, whereas some towns decided to do nothing, I encourage the town to pursue working with FB Environmental to study about how more oysters in the river could impact the ecosystem, and that's what this study will hopefully show, to see if more oysters do impact clams. Because if they do, hey, that's a troubling sign. If they don't, well, then I guess I spent my money.
Yeah.
That's data I want to have.
Oh, that's interesting.
Well, they have a lot of the models already put together. Now they're just seeing what numbers they can get. And it's in cooperation with UMaine Orono and
Cool.
DMR.
That's good work.
Nice.
And then you mentioned, North Country Windmills already, but we'll have a public hearing for them next week. It's a required one for the CDBG that we're getting with them. It's just-
Community Development Block Grant.
and it's just an acknowledgement and hopefully acceptance by the select board. And to accept the $100,000 so that North Country Windmills can get their equipment and move to Waldeboro. And
We'll settle.
They're going out of business. And they were bought up by.
North Country Windmills?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, they were, but then they
Right.
got bought by
That's
the
right.
Davises. Okay.
Davises, yeah.
I thought you were saying
Oh, no,
very
no, no,
recent.
no, I think very cool. And to bring it in, and to bring it into Waldeboro specifically, it was their objective.
Also because they can do other kinds of manufacturing for
Yes.
external clients, router services, metal cutting.
Uh-huh.
So it's a small manufacturing operation that actually has
So,
ancillary benefits
yeah,
to the community.
That
That's
tech's come a
good.
long way. They got a laser thing too, if I remember right.
Yes,
Yep.
they do.
And that's what the CDBG is helping to pay down. And
that's all
actually,
in that little building up on top of the hill.
no, so long story short, DEP screwed them over on, oh shoot, we're recording. DEP messed up with them. And so they are going to try and move at 2,500 Winslow's Mills in northern Waldeboro, where there used to be the treehouse warehouse, tree warehouse.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, good. Bob knows where I'm talking.
yeah,
Near Flanders Corner.
Yeah.
That's, why didn't I say that?
that's a good place to be, actually.
Yeah, which means they wouldn't have to worry about environmental studies or a lot of engineering
And it's
needs,
a bigger space.
bigger space, a
Hmm.
lot of potential, so
Yep.
probably a much better workout.
And the Route One places for
It will
retail?
it'll stay retail.
Yeah.
It'll just stay a simple little retail store for their products.
Oh, okay.
Which-
So they're gonna, that's.
They're gonna
a
still-
distribution site.
Yeah, they're still gonna
Store.
use it, just have it as a store, but the manufacturing is gonna be in North Waldeboro.
Yeah, so glad to hear that because the storefront
Much
is
perfect.
key.
Oh, yeah, much.
That's a beautiful little spot.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to have somebody in the building.
And then my last update is probably gonna be more on Ruben's side, but it's Fidium going live. Do you wanna
Yeah.
have any, do you wanna share anything on that one?
And you worked on it as much as anyone. Fidium's turning on. Most of you guys have probably talked to it by now. If you haven't,
We
you
have an
should.
appointment.
There you go.
Oh,
Poor guy knocked on my door and he had somebody, you know?
Yep.
And I had just gotten back from 4 days with my 50th college reunion. And I was in my boxers and I said, I don't think so, not right now. And he goes, but just take a couple of minutes. It was nice.
I mean, I'm on your side.
So I
if I'm
got
being
his card.
honest.
I got his card. I'll do it tomorrow morning.
sorry, I do remember there is one more update because I was talking about it before the meeting started. And I still get questions about this. So there is a cell phone company cell phone tower company who is looking at putting in a new cell phone tower on southern part of Waldeboro near Finntown Road.
That's on Melvin's property.
It's on Melvin's property.
I wasn't gonna give names, but okay,
Well, I mean,
I know. Fair enough, fair
The
enough.
company's name is Trileaf.
I believe it was actually, I thought it was Blue Sky is the
Oh,
one.
no.
They're the ones I've been seeing on the documents.
Okay.
But they put out a federal public notice a few months back. Some people have just realized that this happened. Just so people are aware, there is nothing at the planning board or local level that has come to my office yet. Meaning they do not have building permits, they do not have site plan permits, but that is something that will eventually happen.
Mhm.
And if that happens, I do send out notices, I do the usual planning board documents, notices to neighbors, ads in the paper, all that spiel, but I have nothing at this time. And Ruben knows that because he would have gotten it too.
I've
Yeah.
gotten a few emails, yeah.
Given the potential height of the tower, is it just the butters that you will notify, or is it people in the neighborhood that you will notify?
The land use ordinance has it, so I only send it to the abutters.
Okay.
And I know,
Thought I'd ask the question.
Yeah,
unless it specifically says otherwise for that use, I think windmills, for example, I have to notify anyone in a 500-foot radius.
Yeah.
But I don't think I have the same thing for the cell phone tower.
now, Ruben, could you just talk briefly about alternatives to a standard cell phone tower. If you're looking to improve,
Well, so it
cell
also,
service.
it depends on what you're gonna do with the tower, because they're just talking about a giant metal structure.
Yeah.
If they were only building it for cell phones, that cell phone will hit a big wide area. Never built a cell phone network. I just know the nerd side of it. I would think if they were putting in that much investment, that something like 5G small cell would be smarter, where you mount individual things on poles at lower power to reach more areas. But it's hard to know what their goals are. I've had people ask me everything about cellular. One person thought it was being put in so they could get better TV signal broadcast, which is about 50 years too old to do.
Yeah.
So when they get in front of the planning board, these will be good questions to repeat, but it could be so many things.
How is it a business? Like, how do you make money from that?
You rent the space.
Yeah.
If you have a space with not enough radio coverage and you can spend $250,000 on a cell
So
phone
you can be
tower,
the owner and lease the space
Yep.
to any
and
phone.
the
any
higher
phone.
on the tower, the more they pay to be on there too.
Yeah,
Got it.
one of Julie's favorite stories was telling me how when she was the town manager for different community, they were offered money to, I think 1,000 or something, to lease out some town-owned space, but she decided to turn around and just have the town build its own cell phone tower and just make almost 3 or 4 times as much.
I wish we had. our
Leasing it out,
towers.
Yeah.
But it's like leasing the railroad track beds for cables and stuff.
Yeah, and it's infrastructure. If you can own a system like that, you can do pretty well.
So.
But we do need better cell coverage for sure in the area, so. Seems like that would be a pretty good thing to support, I would think.
Depends on what it covers.
And overall, what's gonna be on there, as Ruben said, it's just a tower for now.
That should be
Red Zone might be trying to make a comeback, who knows?
Well,
best of luck.
I thought you'd get a laugh.
so the devil's advocate, what could they put on that cell, on that tower that wouldn't be a positive for Weatherboro?
I've seen them designed as pine trees.
Oh yeah, you can do all kinds of stuff.
well, that depends on your point of view.
Yeah.
I think some people are very against 5G in
Yeah.
principle.
Yeah,
So,
Okay.
well, and when there were some people who wanted to put some cell phone antennas on the tower, one of the biggest negative comments I got was, hey, you're trying to implement 5G, it's too new, there's all these bad things about it.
Huawei could be watching us. There's that.
There were a lot of things people would say about it, and
Those are the few emails I've gotten have been people concerned about those types of radiation.
and that.
And I'm going to spare you the time if I go off on that. Google the electromagnetic spectrum. That'll tell you what those frequencies will do.
So the summary for anybody who's watching is that it's too early to say anything about this project, but there may be something coming, so stay tuned.
yep, I'll
Alright.
certainly keep people updated.
That is gonna be a lively meeting.
Oh, boy.
Fair enough.
You don't want that.
Okay, so just a quick review of the sign design process. Max put out an online survey that's been out now for a week.
That's been out for a week. I have had the written ones here in the lobby. I can give you an update on the results I have so far, because so far I have over 120 votes.
Oh, wow.
And there really is concept 2 is the landslide winner.
Okay.
Pretty much, like, we can wait a little while, but of the online responses for the 1 week.
Yeah.
Of the 79 responses I got there, 78.5% of the voters chose concept 2.
Okay.
1 and 3 were split votes, but
Which one is 2?
2 is the more is
The
the
white sign with
the white sign
yeah.
with the O's having some landscape stuff in it.
So
With-
that's,
With the ship in the back.
No, I think that was 1, right?
That's one.
That's one.
where the base was like a ship
Yeah.
form with the individual letters.
If you could see that, it might have been different. Okay.
So that's something that we can take to Cindy and she can start working on iterations, and in July, we can have her back to present more iterations on that concept. I
Mhm.
think we can move forward with that information. Food pantry.
Food pantry. Let me see if I got an update for today. And I do not, but I can give you the numbers for June. So May. So May 6th, we had 172 households, 435 individuals, which were made up of 134 children, 231 adults, and 70 seniors. The second distribution, which was May 20th, we had 168 families and 452 individuals, made up of 144 children, 241 adults, and 67 seniors. A couple of notes. We were awarded 2 grants last week, which were the John T. Gorman Fund, which awarded us $10,000, and also we get the name wrong, and I'm the one who did the grants. The main, let's see how I do this. The main, goodness gracious.
Well,
Anyway,
what did the
it was
grant
for,
accomplish?
it was for just under $8,000. Was the main something fund, community fund, I think. Does that sound right?
Yeah,
So $70,000, which is terrific. The other thing that's notable is that we are starting to see the impact of reduced funding for a lot of the programs that funnel food down to us. I guess that's right. We're at the bottom of the food chain. And so one of the things that our board has done is approved an additional $2,000 a month in spending for food. So that's a substantial increase in our cost. And we're, monitoring that very closely, because the impact can be pretty significant. It's hard to know with a lot of the stuff that's going on now at the federal level, where it's all gonna pan out in the end, but some of the programs have been hit already and hurt, so,
Refer to
Bob has
yourselves
a
as
question. Yeah, Bob has a
front
question.
line.
yeah,
Yeah.
front line, yeah.
Good work.
Bob has a question.
Yes,
I just
Bob.
wanted to verify that it is the reduction in federal monies that are hurting you.
It's a reduction in federal
Whether they go
monies.
to the state and come to you, or whether they come directly to you.
No, none of it was, well, it
Just
comes,
flyers.
Good shepherd.
it's funding to folks that supplied us free food.
Right.
Good
So,
Good shepherd.
like the vegetables to, I think it's
Veggies to table.
Veg to table, for example,
Yes.
is a program that got
Federal money.
defunded.
Yeah.
I know they're still trying to find ways to fund it and provide, fresh produce for us. But we don't know. We don't know what the impact of that's going to be.
Right.
Good Shepherd has seen a dramatic reduction in federal funds. And again, it's their parent company, which is, I can't remember, they're out of Chicago, the big, hunger prevention group. So they see a reduction in funding, hits Good Shepherd. Good Shepherd has less to provide us.
And that was supported by Department of Agriculture, was it not?
I think that's right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
has a question.
So we don't know the extent, we know it's hurting us. We don't know the long-term, damage it's going to do for us.
Yeah.
But we're definitely feeling it now.
Anne had a question.
Yeah, what are the grants for?
So we're really fortunate this time that both those grants are for operational expenses. So we can use them for buying groceries, or we could use them to, we had price of eggs went crazy. We could use them to offset some of those increased prices.
Got it.
Food that we need to buy now from Good Shepherd that was being given to us, we can actually apply those funds to that food now.
Got it.
So
Okay.
it's general operating expenses, which is
Super.
really
Thanks.
terrific. It's not for a fridge or a freezer or anything.
Right. Yep.
Alex, do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, for just kind of from a macro perspective, in terms of the drying up of funding, I think that's gonna bring down to very regional community levels fundraising, and other parties coming into that community to fundraise that's gonna go out of a community, I think is gonna be not well met in the future at some point. It's just theoretical, but I think that's what we're gonna be seeing.
Hmm.
If you think about it.
We're obviously still working towards a new building, which is something we need, our boards being very methodical and careful in terms of evaluating options. But we are, we do understand we need to move in that direction and,
For the long term, yeah.
yeah. So that's where we're at.
Certainly, Alec, to your
I
point.
meant in kind of like 501(c)(3)s in competition with each other for monies.
We
But to-
do.
But to your larger
Yeah.
point, the
Oh.
ideology behind all of these cuts is the Trump administration is very deliberately trying to shift money to private philanthropy. And that means that unless people are stepping up, there are huge gaps are going to open up in these organizations, regional and local organizations.
Oh, and we're one of many. I mean,
Yeah.
there's food pantries, in every town, Rockland, Union, Newcastle, I mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
It's gonna be self-sufficiency. Not totally, but I mean, it's a trend you're talking about,
Yeah, I mean, we're super fortunate. I mean, we mentioned Ron and Peggy earlier, the Davises who run the Bell Company.
right?
They're supplying us that space that we're in now at a
Right.
really really super reasonable rate. And so we're fortunate really that we can kind of survive where we're at now with the financing that we have.
Don't get sleepy on that one.
No, we can't.
Alec, you had a quick comment about a sign for the River Park.
That was brought up by somebody during the Potomac River Community Park.
The John River Community Park.
How did that come out? Pretty good.
Yeah, good.
It's actually a great idea.
Are you talking about like a temporary sign that says future park coming, this kind of thing?
Yeah, to sort of, maybe do a prototype.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
This seems to me like it's really the responsibility of the park committee
Of course.
to deal with. But
But I'm saying, if you want to say to the park, collaborate is all I'm saying.
yeah, it'd certainly be a good idea to get something to people drive by, have an idea of what's coming. I like that idea very much.
Well, they're gonna push, right, it's coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Maine Community Foundation, sorry, I
Ah,
just looked it
that's
up.
Are there any other new topics anybody wants to bring up? Yeah.
I think Ruben had his thing.
Oh, yeah, so I was talking with Evan Gudkowski. Evan, if I said your name wrong, I'm sorry. He's one of the commissioners at Lincoln County. And in Wiscasset, they are doing some educational sessions with Consolidated and some of the older population. In Waldeboro, I think we've had pretty good messaging out there. Rebecca, thank you for running your Facebook group. We've had some pretty good stuff out there, but we don't have anything planned for that kind of outreach. And I was asked today if we were going to do anything. So we might get an email from Evan. I'm talking to him. Is that something that we can find the bandwidth to spin up somewhere? I'm also going to repeat the question to the library. There's going to be a section of the population, usually it's the older folks who don't know if that system's useful to them or if it will benefit them. But the whole point behind this fiber thing was to get everyone access and to give everyone an opportunity to save money. So we might need a more specific lift in education in that direction. That's something I plan on engaging with, but this seemed like a good venue to bring that up.
You brought up the idea of working with the library on an event like that. That seems like a good fit.
So I'll send a note out about that too. I had that conversation 10 minutes before I drove here.
Okay.
So that's how new that idea is.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense to me.
And I wanted to thank you, Ruben, for the work you've done in responding to people's comments on Facebook as well as Rebecca's stuff.
I'm happy to do it. It's, anytime someone lets me yell about, computer nerd things, I'll go all day.
But what you're talking about here is that, like the training or helping seniors in our community understand how this can be beneficial. But most importantly, how it can save them money.
Right.
So if you can actually show them, this is what you're paying now, this is what it'll cost you to go to this new service, and this is how much money you will save. I think that would be really, really important.
So if I understood Evan correctly, they're doing sessions with people that work at Consolidated Communications who know all the products.
Hmm.
And I mean, they're not trying to sell it in the room, but effectively they are selling it because they need to tell people what it is. But to your point, you know, if you can get a $30 internet connection and then for another 20, you can have a phone line. I'm sure there's a lot of older folks that have just phone service that are probably paying well over $50 a month.
Mhm.
for
I
that.
had a question today that I couldn't answer actually about it because somebody has their voice over internet with Spectrum.
Mhm.
They also have cell service with Spectrum, which Fidium is not offering.
Correct.
So she was thinking she had to keep both in some way, that she'd have to keep like the voice with Spectrum in order to keep the internet. So there are some issues like that.
So when I'm back at a computer, I'll answer that. The short version is you can get cellular service through Spectrum on its own. But they charge a higher rate if you don't have broadband. So the best deal if you're using cellular through Spectrum is to also take some kind of internet connection. I pay them an additional 30 a month for a cable modem that I use if a fiber is broken. Right now it's in a box somewhere, but it's because I have 4 cellular lines. So that was far less expensive than having another, I think it would have cost me another $45 a month. If they have a landline, it depends. You don't have to keep that, but if you're in that boat, probably what's going to happen is Spectrum's going to offer you a better price. You can still get internet. Nothing's as good as fiber, but Spectrum will still give you a price break, which is one of the secondary benefits we plan for. Beyond that, you'd have to find a different carrier. And you're right now, Fidium doesn't offer that. Some carriers do. I don't know that they're planning to. That's one of the value adds that Spectrum has. That's one of their strengths. They're a good cellular carrier. So I can write out the math. I know I put one chart out that explained everyone's monthly rate and installation fees and all that. I can write up a second chart that explains how the cellular stuff works.
But
That'd be
maybe
awesome.
unbundling it and just getting US Cellular or some other
Yeah.
provider. Plus
T-Mobile. or
Fidium
something.
internet could
Well-
be less. I don't know.
That's what that chart will be, and I don't want to. I'll burn an hour of your time if I explain how all those individual things work, but I'll write that up. I'll post it in the usual places and that can be shared in email too.
I really like that you covered the, here's the discount for the first year.
Yep.
Which, like Spectrum does that, your cell phone, first year is $14, but then it's 30.
Mhm.
And you don't even realize it. You look at your bill one day and go, wait a minute, I thought it was 14. No,
Yep.
it's 30 now. So
Or 84.
understanding how those breakdowns work is really important, and especially for our seniors, I
Yep.
think.
The other thing to rebroadcast, sorry, Bob, I
No,
promise
no.
you. And this is something that I need to share with the community navigator, and I'm realizing this in real time. The other thing Fidium brings that we haven't had at a permanent state is $30 internet for low income folks. Fidium has a $30 plan for the first year, but if you qualify as low income, they have a 100 meg plan that's just $30 the whole time you're on it. And Spectrum's done that in the past when the Affordable Connectivity Program existed, but that's gone away. One of Fidium's selling points in coming in, and they got a higher score and they applied for grants as they demonstrated they'll provide a low income program. And for students, being able to upload at 100 megabits versus the 10 that you'd get on the older connections, that lets you do anything up to remote working the same as anyone else. So it really, some people get real mad about the word equity, but that is some digital equity right there, giving that ability.
The problem is that when you sign up with Fidium,
Mhm.
that is nowhere to be seen. It's not even an option. On their website, when I signed
Mhm.
up, and I decided not to sign up for a telephone because it is only VoIP and we travel a lot. So we're gonna find a cell phone that works for us internationally and locally.
Mhm.
And there are lots of options out there. I mean, it's a thing called Boot. Have you heard of them?
I think you and I should sit down for a couple hours and talk about cell
Well,
phones.
you
I got
know a
all
lot
kinds
more
of
about it
opinions.
than I will, but I mean, the point is, Rebecca makes a really good point, and that is if voice over internet protocol works for you, then Fidium is great.
Yeah, if you want a phone in your house that's not a cell phone.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But if you're out and about, then you want a cell phone.
And a lot of us have both. I mean, I have,
Exactly.
because I don't get cell service
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah, yeah. Well, so in the education part, it's worth really hammering the point about the low income
Yep.
$30 rate.
And I'll ask that question about how that application works. That's the other reason I'm thrilled we have a community navigator. Actually, two now, if I.
Sure, yeah, they're never Scott.
Anyway, so there's a process for that, but you're right. I don't think it's on that website. Fidium did confirm it at least, so I know that information's right, and that's why I left it on the sheet that got published. And I'm realizing now in that education going forward, now that fiber's done, cellular is going to be the next thing I spend some of my time on. That'll be the next longer term thing.
Well, the town will benefit from that.
Yeah, well, it's the next thing everyone needs.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
It's nice to get that. I don't know what I'm gonna do with my time. I've been harassing people for 10 years with Bob and.
That's really helpful, though.
Yes, I do. I post way fewer now than I used to. I used to just spam my own Facebook page for fun.
Well, get out and vote. And we'll see you all here July.
All right.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Adjourned.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.